Hey everybody, this is not going to be a typical live stream today. I know this made it into the national news, saw it on national news on TV, heard it on the national feed on our local news radio station yesterday. But it's something that needs to be talked about because the media will put their spin on everything, and it's not always the right spin. For those of you that don't know, we had a shooting at one of our area hospitals yesterday morning. I'm not going to say about so many hours ago, about 7:08 yesterday morning, police were called to Carwell Health Troy Hospital for an active shooter. A lot of you know that I do work in healthcare security. I do work for that health system, not at that hospital, but I am a member of the security team for that healthcare system. A lot of media reports speculated as to what was going on, what was happening, and the truth is that it was a altercation between two employees that started off campus and poured over onto the campus, where the one employee was shot. He's in stable condition. He's going to be fine. Fortunately, within 2.5 hours of this taking place, he was taken into custody without incident, about 10.5 miles away from the hospital at his residence. But the thing is, it could have been a lot worse. He could have walked into the hospital and continued shooting. He did not. But my thing today is we train for this all the time. We train with our local law enforcement agencies and staff within the health system, within the hospitals. But this could happen anywhere, not just in a hospital setting. It could happen at a shopping mall. It could happen at your place of employment. It could happen at a doctor's office. It could happen at the grocery store, where somebody comes in and tries to do the unthinkable and unalive as many people as they can. Something that is not taught to John Q. Citizen is what we refer to as run, hide, fight. Now, I'll give you an example. You're at work. Say you work in an office setting. You're in your office. You ever look around and say, hey, what if, and is there another way that I can get away? Okay. Obviously, if you have the ability to, you run as far as you can, as fast as you can away from the area. If that's not an option, you have no way out. Again, you're in an office, you're in your office at work, you're in a treatment room at your doctor's office, you're at the hospital having a test done, and you're in a room waiting for them to do the test. Shut the door, secure that door the best you can. If there's things that you can move to put in front of that door, put them in front, block that door. That's hiding. Crawl under a desk. Play dead. And if, God forbid, you get to the third step, which is to fight. You find whatever you can to fight off that attacker. See, they teach the people that work at hospitals and places like that, auto plants. I remember when I worked for Chrysler, we were constantly teaching it to the people that worked on the assembly lines. What do you do if? Because it has happened. We had a guy walked in. This is when I was a kid, but I remember it very well because I knew some of the police officers that responded, where a guy walked into a Ford plant in Wixom, Michigan, and opened fire. Had a guy walked into a Ford plant not far from where I live a few years ago and did the same thing. You need to know, as John Q or Jane Q citizen, what to do. And like I said, this is not the typical live stream that I would do, but I feel you guys need to know. I know we've got a lot of military vets here, and they know what to do. But just you as you know, the patient, the customer, you know, or working in an environment where they don't teach this, you need to know. And it's the run hide fight. And at least in the state of Michigan, I'm sure, I know there's other states that are just as strict. We've got a lot of places that are, you know, easy pickings for somebody who wants to do some damage. You can't carry your 2A into a movie theater. You can't carry your 2A into a sports arena. You can't carry your 2A into a hospital. You know, there's a lot of places you can't carry it into a school because they seem to think that they're protecting us by restricting the law-abiding citizens. And we all know too well that there are plenty of people that, you know, they don't care about the laws. They'll do whatever they want. And that happens to be the case of what happened yesterday in Troy. And for the record, prior to the health system merging with another health system, employees could have them in their cars. They just couldn't bring them into the building. Now, you can't even have them on the property. Even off-duty police officers cannot come into the facility with a firearm. Retired law enforcement officers cannot come into the hospital or any building owned by the health system with a firearm. You have to be on duty, and be able to prove it in order to walk into one of our facilities, even as a law enforcement officer with a firearm. But there's a lot of rumor and innuendo about what happened yesterday. Like I said, I know it made the national news. But it was what they refer to as an isolated attack. It was a one-on-one thing. And this individual, the shooter, he didn't care about the rules of they were both employees. He did not care to, he basically disregarded the policies and procedures of the health system and chose to try to end a disagreement with a firearm. That's what actually happened. There were posts going out on social media about the about the shooter. Somebody somewhere got a picture of the alleged shooter's work ID and posted it all over Facebook and Instagram and such. And until you hear, or if you're watching the news and you see a report from the Troy Police Department saying this is the individual, or you see a report from the courthouse saying this individual has been indicted, take it within a grain of salt, because rumors swirl and innocent people get caught up in things that they shouldn't be. But I just, like I said, I wanted to put it out there. Yeah, it's a scary situation. I know the Cornwall Health has opened up free counseling, if you will, to anybody that was at the hospital that day, because it's not exactly a normal occurrence to be a patient laying in a hospital bed and have a guy in full tactical gear with an AR come walking into your room. It can kind of mess with your head. And I will say this, I won't go into total detail, but I think maybe administration and management of the health system got their eyes opened yesterday, because we have two of our major health systems where all of their officers are sworn police officers, are fully armed, and can handle a situation quite rapidly before the local police can get there. In the case of some others, they seem to think that it's okay to only have supervision authorized to handle the situation. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm hoping maybe now that management at this healthcare system and the other systems that don't deem it necessary will get their eyes opened real quick. They hire retired police officers to do security, but they don't trust them to do the job. But I will be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff I can't say because of the fact that we have a social media policy, but everything I've said has already been on the news through press conferences with the Troy Police Department. Again, fortunately, the victim in this case is going to be fine. He was hit twice in the arm. The other rounds that were fired hit his car. He was immediately taken care of, and I'm doing this because you guys out there, guys and gals out there, are you have the ability to hide. You have the ability to run, hide, fight. Me being the guy in the uniform, I don't. I have to react. And also in that category is our doctors, our nurses, our emergency room techs, which are all paramedics, our CNAs, which are our nursing assistants on the units. They still have to continue to take care of the patients. And I just wanted to put something out there to everybody about, what you can do. And I know like I said at the very beginning, this is not the typical live stream, but, it needs to be said because the media will put whatever spin they want on it. And, they've already started the waving the, anti 2A flag. And 2A is great because 2A is made for the law-abiding citizen. Our problem, and with what happened yesterday, not today, seems like today, but it was actually yesterday, is that you have an element that don't care. And no, cranky, we don't. Only supervision. Eventually that will change, but they're on a many year plan to change that. But I think after what happened yesterday, that process may speed up. They're in the process now of getting us our police powers. And then once that's done, they'll come back around and do the other. As it stands right now, they have a lot of things that they've got going on. There's a lot of things that need to be done that the answer, as always, is we can't afford it. Well, technically all of our hospitals are in the suburbs, but the three of our hospitals are in the more affluent suburbs of Detroit, and they have metal detectors. None of the rest of us do. And I know Cranky and I have talked about the element that comes through the doors at the one I do work at. And you would think we would have one, but in order to have one, they're going to have to add on to the building. And, oh, God forbid, we don't want to spend that money. And their answer to everything at, well, actually all of our facilities, but the mentality at ours was, well, you don't have a metal detector, so we'll give you a canine unit. Well, then the canine unit did his job one day, and they decided that they didn't want the dog walking around the hospital anymore because he did what he was trained to do. And just hopefully minds will change, feelings on things will change, and we'll get some action. But again, this is something that one of my instructors in the academy told me many years ago. And you can take it whatever way you want it, but it was, in our case, you're in a fight for your life. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. And that kind of ties in with the run, hide, fight. If you can get away, get away. And like I said, run as fast as you can, as far as you can to get away from it. If you can't, then you hide. Get behind a door you can lock. Put your phones on silent, your cell phones on silent. You can have the best hiding spot in the world, but if your phone rings because somebody knows you're where it's happening and they try to call you, the whole world's going to know where you're at. Put your phones on silent. There's a lot of people, and I agree with it. If you're in that situation, you're barricaded in that room, take your phone, dial 911, and just sit it on the floor. Don't say anything. Don't make any noise. But the dispatcher on the other end of the phone will be able to pinpoint where your phone's at. They know you're in there, and they will stay on that line and listen so that they can report anything they hear to responding units. When they start clearing rooms, officer walks in or officers walk in, have your hands up. Don't have your hands in your pockets. Don't go running toward the officers like, oh, thank God you're here. Don't do that. Stay still. Put your hands up in the air. That way they can clear the room. They know you're not a threat. They may handcuff you. That's the normal. We have to secure everything. You may get handcuffed until they determine you're not the threat. And they're not trying to be mean. They're not trying to rough you up. They're not trying to do anything. They may order you to the ground at gunpoint. Get on the ground. Do everything they say and nothing they don't say. These are all things, like I said, these are all things that they don't tell John Q. Public that you guys need to know. because you could be that patient that's going in for a test. You could be that patient that's in the waiting room waiting to go back for a, in the same day surgery unit. You're coming in, you're bringing your kid in to have their tonsils out. They're going to go home the same day. You may have to, you may be the ones that are having to run or hide. But situational awareness, when you go somewhere and say, I by default do this every time I go anywhere. I go to a restaurant, I have to sit facing the door. I have to know exactly how many people are in the room, where the entrance is, where their possibility of a second entrance is. That's my thing. It's sad that in today's world, we all have to think that way. Now, in this case with the shooting yesterday, this did not happen inside the hospital. It happened in the parking structure outside. But again, you pull into the parking structure at a hospital, or, like here in Detroit, all three of our casinos have parking structures. You're going to a venue somewhere where you park in a parking structure. Okay, there's a door there. There's there's a door there. There's stairs there. If this happens right now, how am I going to get out of here? It's sad that we have to do that, but you have to think about that everywhere you go nowadays. So, and even our laws here in Michigan, you can't even have a pocket knife on you when you go into a hospital. I mean, even we can't, and we work there. Yeah, they're at a point right now where they're trying to even they're even trying to make it a rule that our nurses can't carry trauma shears, which, I know Cranky knows, he was in EMS, and there's others that are in the medical field that you're not going to hurt somebody with trauma shears, but it's a weapon. It's a pair of scissors. They can use it against you. Good luck with that. But just, everybody, this is just a reminder, be aware of your surroundings, and don't just assume that it won't happen here, because I can almost guarantee you that that's the mindset, or was the mindset until yesterday at that hospital. Oh, it won't happen here. That's something that happens at Henry Ford or the DMC or ProMedica or places like that. That's not going to happen here in Troy. Oh, it won't happen in Royal Oak. That's not going to happen at Grosse Pointe, or Taylor or Trenton or Farmington. That won't happen there. Oh, that stuff happens at St. John, or maybe at Wayne, but not here in Troy. Well, guess what? It happened yesterday. And like I said, good, obvious, excellent work by the area agencies. And, watching the live reports yesterday, it was, I don't know if you want to say comforting, but to see, I'm very familiar in the area. I'm very familiar with the area where this hospital's at. My son goes to college not far from there. He works not far from there. He played hockey not far from there for almost his entire youth hockey career growing up. So we're very familiar with that hospital, because if anybody got hurt at the arena, that's where EMS is taking them. But to see the response from, and I'm probably going to miss some departments here, but I'm going to try to list them all off. And in this case, the Corwell property at that facility actually sits in two different cities. The main hospital is in the city of Troy. I almost said Detroit, sorry. In the city of Troy. They have a parking structure across DeQuinder Road. There's a big pedestrian bridge that goes across. If you saw any of the video, you saw that bridge. But they also have property that's in the city of Sterling Heights. When the active shooter call went out yesterday, Sterling Heights was the first department on scene other than the city of Troy. And when this whole thing started, it was just prior to shift change at the hospital and was in the middle of shift change at the city of Troy. So not only did you have the day shift responding, but you had the midnight shift responding, all the school resource officers and special enforcement officers all responded, along with, again, the city of Sterling Heights, the city of Utica, the city of Shelby Township, Rochester, city of Warren. You had cities coming from 2 and 3 cities over responding. City of Southfield, Bloomfield Township. These are all cities where it took them a minute to get there, but they knew that there was a hospital in trouble, and they all responded. Without being called, they heard and responded. And I'm not a fan of any of our alphabet agencies. I mean, they're slowly changing, but the ATF, FBI had agents, boots on the ground, within minutes of the first dispatch call going out for an active shooter at the hospital. The city of Sterling Heights also sent fire units to stand by in case anybody needed to be transported off-site for medical care, due to the fact that the hospital was on lockdown. And yes, they were still treating the people in the emergency department, but you couldn't bring anything in from the outside. Sterling Heights, without hesitation, sent firefighters with fire rigs and ambulances to stand by. City of Sterling Heights and the Oakland County Sheriff's Department provided command centers. Also, there's a couple I almost forgot. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department, which is the county that the main hospital sits in, DeQuinder, there also being the divider between Macomb and Oakland County. Macomb County Sheriff's Department sent units to the scene. And of course, MSP was all over it like white on rice. The response was amazing. Again, bad guy. A lot of people, even into the wee hours of this morning, were saying that the shooter was still at large. He is not. Within 2.5 hours of it, the first 911 call, he was in custody. Super big shout out to the Shelby Township Police Department and the Macomb County Sheriff's Department for bringing him in safely and peacefully without incident. Not sure what made him think it was a good idea to try to unalive somebody and then just simply go home like it was no big deal. But I just wanted to clear up some of the rumors, because I know, like I said, I know it hit the national news within minutes of it happening. Because the national news loves a good story that they can put their own spin on, and they tried very hard. But thankfully, the press conferences that were held yesterday, outstanding job by the chief of the Troy Police Department and their public information officer. I can't remember his name now. He's a lieutenant that was on at the very beginning of this whole thing to nip it in the bud before it became a thing. But yeah, it's I recommend to everybody that you reach out to have your employer do it. Reach out to your local police departments and see if they can put something together, or if they offer something along the lines of the run, hide, fight training. I just briefly touched on it. I didn't go complete full blown into it. I just gave you the basics, and I know people get tired of hearing this, but in the world we live in nowadays, and it's not just in the United States, it's everywhere, every country on every continent on this globe that we live on. If you see something, say something. If you see something that doesn't look right, it's not. Okay. Let the police or security, wherever you're at, let them determine whether it's okay or not, and then go from there. So I want to thank everybody that popped in today, and anybody that comes back to watch it later, thank you for watching. Again, just from the viewpoint of somebody that responds to this stuff every day, or, well, thankfully we don't respond to what happened yesterday every day, but we train for it. We're ready for it as much as we can, and we try to keep things safe for everybody. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I know this is a really short live today. I just wanted to put that out there for everybody. And we'll see you soon. All right, everybody, have a great day, and stay safe. Mishy's out.